Well, this video is going to be a little different. When I was trying to get B-roll of Majora's Mask for a completely different video, I noticed that the game just wouldn't boot at all. I tried everything. I tried cleaning the contacts, I tried different games that used the expansion pack, I did everything I could think of to troubleshoot this, and I just couldn't get the game to run. So I'm going to open it up and I'm going to try my best to save this copy of Majora's Mask. Alright, Majora's Mask, welcome to the operating table. So, as you saw before, the game just won't boot. I don't know why, so that's why we're going to crack this open and find out why. Well, as you can see, my little label here is already kind of started peeling off, but it's no big deal, we're just going to get right to it. So, first thing you'll notice is that it uses these non-standard screws here to keep the cartridge enclosed. So that's why we're going to pull out the toolkit. So we'll start by placing this here. So let's see, the one that we use here is actually, yes, this one here, this 3.8 hexagonal tool bit is what's going to fit that. As I've found out, this is the standard toolbit that is used for pretty much every single Nintendo product from the Super Nintendo and onwards. If I remember correctly, I believe it's the NES that only used regular screwdriver bits in order to access the console. They learned their lesson and did not continue using screwdrivers for future consoles. So I'll start by opening this up. We'll just go straight down, unscrew this, like so. So what I like to do is I like to try and place these screws relatively within the general position that they were found in. So here I'll be doing like that. So I go top to bottom, left to right. So for each layer that I go down, I go, like I said, I put the screws here. And so as you see, it's kind of blocked off here. So on this layer, I only have this. So when I get to the next layer, if it uses a different bit in order to get the screws out, then we'll move to the next layer, and then I'll keep the bits themselves like so, so that I can kind of keep an eye on, which of these bits I actually need. So we've taken the screws out of this here, so we're going to go ahead and slide this out of the way. Set this in here for now. And we'll just crack this open. Now, mind you, I will go ahead and tell you now, I actually did open this before. You can see that the tabs have gone missing. That is because the last time I tried to find out what was wrong with this, I accidentally broke these little tips off in here. So that's why it was so easy to open this. But last time I did this, I did not find what was wrong. So this time I'm going to try my best to find out, well, what's wrong. So we'll get to the next part here. So these are standard screws, Phillips head screws. We're just gonna take it off one by one so we can get underneath this shielding. So we're gonna make sure that we put this in the right position. We're gonna do the same here. Alright, and with that, we are in. I'll just take the screwdriver bit out, set it to the side, and now we just gently lift the shielding off of the plate, like so. There we go. Easy enough. We'll set that aside for now. And now we can see the inside of the PCB. As you can see, there's already a little bit of corrosion on the contacts here. So I've done everything that I can with this. So I've cleaned this with isopropyl alcohol, and I can't get anywhere with it. So the game just refused to boot. So let's go ahead and pull this out like so. And you'll see this little plastic piece here. It's also on there, and that's it's mainly there just to act as sort of a way of keeping the keeping the PCB in place. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a multimeter and we're going to go through each one of these traces and make sure that each trace leads to each part of the board that it's trying to reach. So in order to do that, we're going to need multimeter. So we'll just go ahead and set this aside for now. So we're going to set this to continuity so that we can know that our traces are connected, and we're going to set it so that it beeps when the two contacts connect. As you can see here. So as you can see here, when the two connect, you just so that's how we're going to know that each part of the PCB is connected to each part of the trace where it's trying to go. So we'll just set this aside, and we're just going to go one by one. I'm going to get this wire moved out of my way. Alright, so I can actually see what I'm doing. So now let's bring this in like so. Alright, so if you zoom in here a little bit, we'll try and get a better angle of there. So you can see that this trace here appears to be leading to various parts here. So this and this, these connect. This part, this connects to nothing. So, and this we already know connects to that. And so now all we gotta do is we just gotta go one by one. So these two connections here, they don't connect to anything. Alright, we'll get a better view here. So you see these traces lead to nothing. This trace, we'll see where that goes. So that goes to the back, so I'm not going to worry about that for now. I'm just going to keep going until I find a trace that leads to one of these chips. So, okay, so this connects to the ground way out here. Okay, so this connects actually to the resistor here. Okay, that makes sense. So that's connected. We got this. Okay. So we're gonna start just going one by one on each of these chips. Start here. Anything connected? Maybe up here. No, nothing. Oh, what about down here? Interesting. Well, we know these two are not connected, so we'll just keep going down the list here. So we got that. Oh, there we go. All right, so that trace is good. That trace is good. So we want to make sure that each of these traces successfully links to the next one. So we'll just keep going down the line here. Okay, well, that one's good. This one leads to a ground, I believe. So we'll just keep Okay, we got that, and that's connected, so that's going to be the same, yep, same pin. All right, yep. Okay, that one's connected. Oh, okay, that one is connected as well. Good. Okay. Okay, good. So far, so good. Yep. And this one is the ground. Okay. So what I want to go back to is this trace right here. You can see if I set this here, if we zoom in, we take a closer look. Get the camera to adjust. Okay, so you may notice that there's a little bit of corrosion here. This little spot here. Now, when I was going through the traces here, I noticed that this wasn't really connected to anything up here. So what I want to do is I wanted to go through all the traces that I can and double check and confirm that this trace has been fully corroded. And if it has, I'm going to take a fiberglass pen to it, draw over the trace, and then bridge the gap, and then see if that completes the circuit. So I'm just going to do that again. I'm going to go through each of these connections one by one. So we'll start with this. Okay, nothing at all. Okay. Let's see if I go to the trace here. Okay, so this trace connects to the first pin on the top right here. So this pin does not connect to anything, but if I go to the next pin over, oh, okay, well, not that pin, the next pin over, that. Okay, so this trace leads to the third pin. This trace leads the first pin. These two are unused, but this one leads me to believe that this trace is indeed corroded. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull out the fiberglass pen. So we'll just take a look here. So I'm just going to be using one of these fiberglass pens. So what this will do is this will go over the trace, and so we're going to expose that trace so that we can hopefully have a means of going over it with the pen. So we'll just Alright, so I have scrubbed away that trace, and as you can see here, if the camera would focus, you can see that this trace is indeed broken. So you can see that there's a very tiny gap there, right there where the corrosion went in, got into the PCB, and caused this trace to break. So what we'll do now is we'll just take our pen here. So here's where we're going to be using our Circuit Scribe silver pen here. So what this will do is that this will create a connection between the the trace and the connection pins, and so that should hopefully fix this PCB. We'll find out here in a minute, but for now, we'll just go ahead and give it a shot. Okay, so we got a little bit of that on there. So now, if we take another look, let's check the continuity. So we'll start here. So if my assumption is correct, then when I touch the pin on this chip here, it should go off. And hey, what did you know? Look at that. So we've successfully fixed that trace. Now that we know that that trace has been fixed, we can go ahead and take a look at the other side, and we'll see if all the connections there are made as well. I'd say we're pretty much good to go here. I think this will probably get the result that we want. We'll have to put the cartridge back together and go from there and see what happens. But I'm feeling pretty confident that this is probably what was causing all the issues with this cartridge. Now, whether or not that corroded trace is the cause of the strange things that this game was doing, I'm willing to bet that was probably it. But yeah, let's go ahead and we'll put it back together and see how it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and stop for a second, and I'm going to zoom in real close. So you can see where that trace has been corroded off. You see, if maybe you were paying attention, you'll have noticed that this part here is what separates this part of the board here that's exposed to the cartridge, or to the cartridge slot of the Nintendo 64, and separates this part from the rest of the PCB. Typically, when you're blowing into a cartridge, you're blowing into this part here, and this part here, you see it's caught a lot of dust. It has invariably caught a lot of spit as well. So just another reminder, this is why you don't blow into your cartridges. If you're going to clean your cartridges, do it correctly. Use isopropyl alcohol or use a dedicated cleaning kit for your cartridges. Try and avoid blowing into them if you can, because then you'll end up with situations like this where you have to take apart a cartridge and do all this unfun stuff. Well, for me it's not unfun, but for the common person, for the average collector, I imagine you probably don't want to be doing this. I'm sure there are better ways of spending your afternoons. So we'll go ahead and get through the rest of the rebuild process. Okay, so before I fully close this up, I'm not going to put the screws in on the back, just because if for some reason if this doesn't work and I have to go back in, then I don't have to unscrew all these screws again. So with the cartridge mostly ready to go, let's give it a test to see how it goes. Oh, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look and see if it worked. So we'll just slide it into the cartridge here, and oh my lord, it worked! Oh, I can't believe it. This is great. Oh man. Oh, I am so I am so stoked. Here we go. Here we go. Oh look, and even the save files are still there. Oh, this is fantastic. Oh, there we go. Alright, well, so there you go. So this is why you don't blow into cartridges. So we have saved a copy of Majora's Mask by doing this, and well, now I can get back to playing Majora's Mask. And everything's just the way it should be. Alright. Well, thank you once more for watching, and remember, don't blow into your cartridges, or you'll have to end up doing stuff like this. Well, hope to see you next time.